Another big final coming up on the track. It's the men's 10,000 meters. World leader this year, Jacob Kiplimo, is in the lineup. Championship record set a couple of years ago in Bydgoszcz by Rogers Kwemoy at the Servisa Stadium. Here they are, it's a big field, there's 28 of them out there. (28 to do 25). When you think of the laps they've got ahead of them. Big group. And once again, this has been an event dominated by the Ethiopians. We look at the lineup for the men's 10,000 meters final. Two names at the top straight away leap out. Ronex Kipruto is looking very, very strong in 2018. Jacob Kiplimo is the world leader. The Ethiopians will be there or thereabouts, I'm sure. Argawi, third down from the top on that list. And Adugna is the other one.
Ronex Kipruto won a 10K road race in New York in April, the fastest ever on US soil, which is an incredible stat for a junior under-20 athlete to have behind them. But you know, Jacob Kiplimo will give him a really good run here. I think the two Ethiopians on paper, I think their times aren't as fast as they're capable of going. Those times are at altitude. They don't quite reflect what I believe they're capable of here.
Well, a huge field, which will be divided to ensure as smooth a possible start as we can get amongst the 28. So they'll be split into two groups of 14. Boyt of Kenya, no doubt, will be dangerous. Kipruto as well, the African junior cross-country champion. 28 of them are lined up for this 10,000 meters final.
This race has historically 8 times it's gone to Kenya, 6 times to Ethiopia, twice to Uganda. It's hard to see it going elsewhere, but let's just see how the race unfolds.
Yes, Kiplimo's best this year is run 27.5 minutes, basically. That was done on the Gold Coast back in April. There he is, the Ugandan. He was a bronze medalist in Bydgoszcz, although he's just to the left there as we look at Kipruto as well, the African junior cross-country champion. And there is Kiplimo, world leader, 2018. Gives the crowd a wave. Another Kenyan, Solomon Kiplimo Boyt, finished second to Kipruto at the Kenyan trials. And Jebru of Eritrea could be a contender here as well.
Good to see some of the athletes out there smiling and looking relaxed. Yeah, it's running after all. This is something they do every day. Good to see them enjoying it.
Roble Sibatu of Eritrea completes a dangerous pairing. He's among the leading runners in the world this year on times. But in moments like this, they're not really thinking about times. They're thinking about titles, they're thinking about the tactics and the near half an hour of running that's ahead of them. It's our second final on this opening day on the track of the World Under-20 Championships. It is the men's 10,000 meters And in two massed groups of 14, they go off, separated at the moment, and then they'll break on the back straight, and they'll come together in quite a pack, and there's sure to be some sharp elbows needed in there. There's sure to be some tactics. People are going to need to stand their ground, watch their feet. And straight from the outset, the Ugandan world leader, Kiplimo, has gone to the front. He stands out in a bright yellow Ugandan vest. And immediately he's up there, and Kipruto has joined him. So straight out from the bat, we've got two of the leading contenders right at the front in the early stages of this 10,000 meters final.
No hanging around by Jacob Kiplimo. Obviously doesn't want to get into any trouble in the middle of the pack, just going out in front. He's got a lot of company.
And a lot of laps, 24 of them still to go. That Kiplimo story is really fascinating to reflect on. Actually went to the Rio Olympics in 2016. It was still a 15-year-old at the time. He's got great international pedigree, though, for someone who is so young. He's 17 years of age now. He finished 4th on the Gold Coast at the Commonwealth Games earlier this year. But he's also been to events like the 2017 IAAF World Championships, the Commonwealth Games I mentioned, World Cross Country, and he's a World Under-20 Cross Country champion as well. So he's certainly set himself up as one of the great young athletes in long distance running. But what kind of challenge, we wonder, will particularly Ronex Kipruto put up for him?
It's great to see athletes like Kiplimo here, you know, that this championship means so much to them. They've already been on the senior circuit, but they want this title. They want to be the best amongst athletes of their age. They want to take this home.
Illustration of just how things are panning out, even in the very, very early stages of this race. They went out in two separated groups of 14 before the break on the back straight, which brought them together. They're effectively back apart as two groups of almost 14 each. They're quite evenly split now. They'll go down the back straight with one big group, then just a couple hanging around in the middle, and then there's another group already at the tail of the field. They've gone through 1,000 meters in 2 minutes 50:41.
Yeah, there's definitely two distinct groups in this race, which is quite early in the race for this to have happened, but it's such a big field, it's probably no harm. You know, I'm sure the main contenders are quite happy with that.
And of course, they won't potentially have wanted a really slow-paced race, which would have kept everybody bunched together. There's greater risk, therefore, of feet getting tangled, of a lot more physical confrontation within the race. Those leading contenders would have just perhaps decided, well, let's break off those who are not going to be able to stay with us and move away and get into our own race, because there is a group now of, it's about 14 at the front who are leading the way.
Well, we saw in the women's 5,000 meters, Logan, who was one of the favorites, we saw her go down on the second bend, get back up and get back into the race, but then with 300 meters to go, it looked like she didn't have anything, and you'd have to look back now and wonder, did a fall like that affect her? And you'd hope with these athletes here that the same type of situation doesn't happen. But they're starting to spread out here already. You can see the front group. As we're sitting in the commentary box, they're just coming around the top bend, and they're starting to put a bit of space between them. They're stringing out a little.
Yeah, we got a view of Christopher Dryden, who's in his first major international event. A big challenge ahead for him. He's one of the leaders of the second pack, who are well back at the moment. He's from Christchurch in New Zealand. Well, we have two very individual races going on at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Kiplimo just bringing them through. 21 laps to go. Looks comfortable at the front, not content to keep the pace slow, wants to kick on here. It's starting to cool down a little bit in the stadium at this time of night, which is great for the athletes. Still a beautiful evening, but not quite as searing hot as it was perhaps 2 hours ago.
No, we even have some shadows across parts of the track now, and for the first time in these championships, although they're not really needed in the situation that we're in with 19 hours of daylight a day here in Northern Europe, but the floodlights are actually on. They're very distinctive floodlights as well. The big pylons beaming the lights down from kind of vertical shaped bulbs. We'll try and give you a glance of them at some point. Look at the two Eritreans who are likely to be dangerous. And that would be a big moment, of course, because this has been an event that has been absolutely dominated by Ethiopia, Kenya, and on a couple of occasions Ugandans have taken the title as well. 2,000 meters in 5 minutes 40.68. 2 years ago was Rogers Chumo of Kenya ahead of an Eritrean, Aaron Kifle, and the aforementioned Jacob Kiplimo, who got a bronze medal in Big Gosh. He ran 27 minutes, 26 seconds, 0.68 seconds, in fact, 2 years ago at the Zavisa Stadium. But in recent times, well, we've seen in the last 5 championships, 3 Kenyan golds, 1 Ethiopian and 1 Ugandan. But they're going along at a fair pace at the moment here, with Kiplimo, who's been at the front since the start, quite content to stay there.
Kiplimo is a great cross-country runner. He'd have a lot of strength in the legs. This pace wouldn't be too tough for him. He should be quite comfortable at it. But he's doing a lot of work out the front. You know, the Kenyans are quite content to sit in on him and just let him bring them around.
Kartik Kumar of India has been basically providing the string between the two groups, really, and he's sitting on his own off the pace of the front group. The front group now, though, has paced out to 8. So out of the 28, already 8 are stretching them, and Kiplimo is still pushing them, and he's staying and sending out the message to them, right, this is how I'm going to race this one, this final. I'm here for gold, so you're going to have to keep pace with me if you want to set up a race at the end. But we have the 2 Eritreans, the 2 Ethiopians, the 2 Kenyans, and the Ugandan, all in that front group.
With these athletes, you know, you have obviously the real elite at the top who are going to win top 3, top 8, but outside of that, there's a lot of other athletes in this field who are strung out, and what they don't want to do is find themselves in no man's land. You don't want to be loose somewhere where you're not close enough to a group to really be pulled through, because it's a lot of laps and it can get quite lonely out there trying to bring yourself through them. So I'm just looking around, seeing where the bunches are, who's together. Even if you just have one other athlete with you to work off through this distance race, it's really important not to get isolated.
Well, the last 1,000 meters, he's picked up the pace again, Kiplimo at the front. They've just gone through that last 1,000 in 2 minutes 44.75. So this is a fair pace he's taking them at the moment. They're averaging 2:48 among the front runners now per 1,000 meters.
Yes. Kiplimo still is looking for a little bit of help, I think, from...
Yes, he's got Kiplangat there. We haven't really talked much about him, but he's the other Ugandan who was a finalist in Big Gosh actually a couple of years ago. And he looked around his shoulder and said, right, my friend, do you want to join me here and just take this pace up for a minute? So Kiplimo just slips back into the group now. Now, whether that's an indication that he's really pushed it hard over 3,600 meters, now that will be interesting to see, because in dropping into the pack, Kipruto's now threatened to break away, and so Kiplimo is having to respond to that, and he is doing so.
Kipruto has put down some pace here and is making a definitive break, and he's being chased by Boat, his teammate, is not letting him go.
Yeah, Boat is with him. Kiplimo has had to run, so having surrendered the advantage, the 2 Kenyans have gone to the front and they're taking the Ugandan with them. Now the question at this point is, are the others going to follow? Have they got it with them? Do they want to keep pushing it at that pace? It's still fascinating to see the pace at which this leading group have taken it out. They did 4,000 meters in 11 minutes 13 seconds in a split. The last 1,000 meters in 2 minutes and 47. And it's Boyd who's leading.
At this stage, you'd have to say that Jacob Kiplimo, he's lost the support of his teammate, but he looks fairly comfortable anyway. You saw him looking for a bit of support a couple of laps back. They're just passing the other athletes in this field.
Yes, I mean, that is amazing, isn't it? It's quite an early stage to be storming past that group. But
absolutely. But this race is going to be one of the classiest of this championships. You know, when you have an athlete entered who has a record like that, Ronix Kipruto, at a senior level, he's very impressive. So for him to be running at his age group, it was always going to be incredibly impressive.
Well, they'll go through 5,000 meters shortly, and we'll get an indication of just how quickly they're going. It's the two Kenyans at the front, followed by Kiplimo of Uganda. And the two Ethiopians at the moment are hanging on in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't write off these Ethiopians yet. You know, they've run their times at altitude. They should find this easier than racing at altitude. And they're a slight unknown quantity.
13 minutes 57 seconds for the 5,000 meters to the halfway point. World leading time this year, 27 minutes 30 from Kiplimo. And in Australia early this year, championship record is 27:25, set by Rogers Gwemoyo of Kenya on the way to victory in Bydgoszcz a couple of years ago. But now they're starting to spread again. And Kipruto is pushing on, and Kiplimo going with him, so is Boyd.
This is a serious pace by Kipruto. He's really testing Jacob Kiplimo to see can he stick with him. Kiplimo is responding well.
Well, athletes strewn all over the track now. A Kenyan in first, a Kenyan in third, and sandwiched in between the Ugandan world leader in 2018. It's Berehu Aragawi of Ethiopia who's trying to stick with that group, but he's just now lost 5 meters or so in fourth place. Well, the rest of the field have really struggled to go with this pace, and that's including some very, very strong runners. They're at 5,600 meters now.
Yeah, the pace is punishing here. Ronix Kipruto is not really... Oh, he's happy to give up the lead to Jacob Kiplimo. Looking for support from Boyd, his teammate.
Well, it's cat and mouse, really, isn't it, now, between them? And the pace is just slowing a little bit.
Absolutely. The last lap was much quicker than this one, I'd imagine, once they see some splits. Yeah, I think Kipruto really wants Boyd to take this on for a while. He did some work, and now he'd like a little bit of help. But Jacob Kiplimo is not making it easy for the Kenyans to work together. He's got a lot to say about it. Look, Aragawi has come back in once the pace has slowed. It's given him an opportunity to get back in the mix here.
9 laps to go, and once again there's a little move made here. Kipruto has taken a little step on Kiplimo, who's in second, and Boyd is in third. And we've seen the Ethiopian Aragawi, having caught up with that group when the pace slowed, drop off a bit. But now you just sense could have another key little chapter in this race. Kenya 1-2. Kiplimo in third, the bronze medalist in Bydgoszcz a couple of years ago. He's sitting in that position now. And it's shaping up to be a fascinating 10,000 meters, because Kipruto really did turn the gas on in the last 1,000 meters. He went through that in 2 minutes 38.76 seconds, and he's stretching out now, and Kiplimo is having to work really hard to try and stay with him. There are 7 laps to go in the 10,000 meters final, and Ronix Kipruto, the African junior cross-country champion, is trying to break the rest of them now. And can Kiplimo respond? Look at Kipruto, he's really moving down that back straight.
Kipruto is just trying to turn the screw here on Jacob Kiplimo. Trying to see can Kiplimo respond, can he go with them?
Well, he's trying.
Trying really hard. It doesn't look like the gap is increasing. It's hard to tell with the other athletes, but yeah, Ronix Kipruto is a class athlete, and he is showing that here. But Jacob Kiplimo is not giving this one up easily.
And you wonder, Kipruto, this is a race of phases, of passages, of slower paced moments, of faster pace, and he's certainly gone very fast in the last few minutes. As he goes into the shaded area of the track, you can see the floodlight pylon beaming down over the top of the athletes now. He's got 6 laps to go, 7,600 meters complete at the 10,000. They can feel the end in sight, but there's a few twists and turns potentially to come, depending on if Kiplimo can haul Kipruto in. Kipruto, remember we were talking at the very start of this race, who ran an amazing 10K in Central Park, the quickest ever done on US soil earlier this year. They really like what they're seeing from him.
Yeah, Kipruto is an outstanding athlete. But you know, Jacob Kiplimo is not going away here. He hasn't increased that gap that he put in. Jacob Kiplimo is really trying to close that in, and Ronix Kipruto is gonna have to work really hard to keep that gap, because I would say, if anything, Jacob Kiplimo is closing slightly on him. You know, still 5 laps to go here.
And what they have done, of course, is they've opened up quite a considerable gap now over the athletes in 3rd and 4th. Solomon Kiplimo-Boit of Kenya is back in 3rd place at the moment, and Aragawi of Ethiopia is in 4th. They have 2,000 meters to go. And they did the last kilometer in 2:42.51.
Neither of them seem to be reducing their pace. The gap is staying the same. You just wonder, will either of them falter at this point? Ronix Kipruto has everything to run for here. He's put in a really good surge a couple of laps back and got himself quite a nice lead. I think he's actually going again here around the top bend.
Mindful of the times that we're looking at here. The world lead this year, 27:30.25 by Kiplimo. The championship record is 27:25. And the world under-20 record, 26:41 from Wanjiro, which has stood for 13 years. Ronix Kipruto is marching on with 4 laps to go, a 65-second lap. And in the 10,000 meters final, we're closing in on the final stages. Don't be fooled by what you see there, because that's the man who's way ahead of the rest. Kipruto, Ronix Kipruto, what a year he's having, and he can allow himself to look over his shoulder, because when he does so, he'll see that that's the man in 2nd place, the world leader, Jacob Kiplimo. But he's well back. It was a 9-second lead.
You see a hint of a smile there from Kipruto. He knows that he's broken Jacob Kiplimo. He can enjoy this last lap, just bring home his victory.
Marching on, and he hits the bell, 26:20, and this is going to be a fast time in this championship and in this year, if he chooses to push it hard in this last 400 meters, or is he just going to enjoy it? The bell ringing for them, but it's a big lead, and it's Ronix Kipruto. There's Aragawi, one of the Ethiopians, who is taking the bell as well. 400 meters left for him, but look at this procession it's turned into for Ronix Kipruto, the Kenyan. 8 times they have won the gold in the 10,000 meters, and that is about to become 9 in his 17th edition of the World Under-20 Championships. He's pushing it hard. The world lead this year, 27.5. The championship record, 27.25. Kipruto's finding some extra pace. He's striding down the home straight. He's striding away to a gold medal for Kenya. And look at the clock. 27.19. It's a championship record. It's a gold medal. It's brilliant from Ronex Kipruto. As in comes Kiplimo, deposed as the world leader.
The crowd were on their feet to see Ronex Kipruto. They know the class of athlete they've seen come home here in the last 100 meters, and the crowd absolutely appreciating what he's done out here tonight.
And Aragawi gets the bronze. 27.19.36. Another memorable moment at a World Under-20 Championship. Voigt comes in fourth as well. They were way ahead of the rest of the field. There'll be people out there running for several minutes yet, while this man stands with the Kenyan flag. It's another gold. What a night for the Kenyans at the start of this competition. 5,000 meters gold for the women, now 10,000 meters gold for a new star, Ronex Kipruto.
Oh, and confusion there for the Eritrean about whether or not he has another lap to go. Oh, yeah, I believe he does. You can understand after that many laps how you would start to get a bit confused. A lot of respect there between Kipruto and Kiplimo.
Well, it was fantastic. Kiplimo, remember, went out really well and tested the field. This was a race within a race very early on between a group of 4 to 6. It then reduced to 4, it reduced to 2, but then it became a story of one. Ronex Kipruto.
You'd have to say Jacob Kiplimo threw everything he could at Ronex Kipruto, and it just wasn't enough tonight. You hope to see them battle it out over the years to come.
As the shadows lengthen over the track, the bell still rings for many of those out there. An absorbing race in so many ways, but so many just broken very early, and they will have known, looking at times and experiences coming into this, that there was likely to be some front runners. But my goodness me, it was early, wasn't it? It was really early that the front group went away and said goodbye.
Yeah, from the first lap, to be honest, it was like 2 races. And, you know, there's a lot of young athletes here coming from all over the world, every continent, and they'll learn from this. They'll see Kipruto, Kiplimo, where they are, what their standard is, and they'll aspire to try to get to that standard, and they'll want to go home and see, right, what can we do to be at that level.
Broadcasters from all over the world here to hear the words of the winner.
Great moment for the Ugandan athlete celebrating with his teammate. Aragawi came through to snatch the bronze, and his teammate celebrating with him in a lap of honor, which is always really lovely to see. You know, these athletes know each other so well. They train together a lot of the time. They travel together. And they really do support each other.
No doubt the Kenyan newspapers tomorrow will have pictures of that young man. He'll be 19 in October. And he has soared on the world stage. This was his finish. After a really fast-paced race, he could celebrate and still find a kick in the home straight. First it was the right arm, then the left, and then as he crossed the line, it was both.
Just thrilled with his effort. You saw the smile beginning to happen about a lap out. Great to see that joy from Kipruto.
And that 27.21 is the world lead mark. Let's confirm the result of the men's 10,000 meters final. A championship record, 27 minutes, 21.08 seconds. Gold for Kenya. Ronex Kipruto ahead of Jacob Kiplimo of Uganda, who takes the silver. Further back, some 27 seconds behind the winner, There's the Ethiopian, one of the two Ethiopians. And Aragawi will be on the podium tomorrow. The rest of the finishers, well, they carried on coming in for several minutes after the winner. Kipruto blew them away.